Good morning and welcome to another video on the River Cam, just above Bates Bight Lock.
Where there are 4 rowing eights.
No, that's a 4. That's
yes.
a 2.
And that would be... okay. There are 3 rowing eights and 2 rowing 2s, all turning around and trying to get straightened up to go back the other way.
There's a lot of rows here.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're not doing this section this morning.
It's impressive watching them making a turn.
Yeah, they turn on like a dive. They literally,
as long as that dime's 50 feet long.
They spin in place. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm getting distracted.
That's where we are. So, Bates Bight Lock over there, not set for us. We're going to have to get that set for us before we go. George, over here, has been a busy boy. Fertilizing. Yeah.
I really like this mooring, actually. It's very open, and I'm glad you stopped here rather than
It's a nice walk from here. There's no like sort of field for George.
No.
But I went walking up this way, and it goes to a paved towpath for a while, and it's just, pleasant walk. Lots of people running and walking their dogs and stuff.
Today's quite an exciting day because we're going to go down this lock and then down Watersham Lock, and then we're going to turn onto the Lodes.
And go up is it the Reach Lock?
Reach? Can't remember.
Yes, Reach Lode Lock. I think that's it.
And then not sure whether we're going to stop right there because apparently there's some moorings there, or go to the end of the first Lode because apparently there's some moorings there as well. Yeah,
according to the book, there is a waste point and etc. As you pass through the lock. Right. Then there's a bunch of permanent moorings. Then there's some EA moorings.
Okay.
Then there's the junction.
Okay.
So.
But we'll just work it out when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking forward to it. Apparently it's quite narrow, but not shallow.
Well, only one of them is really narrow.
Which one's that?
That's the one that'll probably be the last.
The Wicken Fen.
The Wicken Fen, yeah, that one's supposed to be quite narrow right up until the turning point. The rest of them are more sort of straight and wider. They'll be narrower than this, but they'll...
What is a lode?
Oh, a lode is just a
man-made?
Yeah, it's like almost a canal. It's a man-made feeder to the drain.
Okay.
So, as far as I know, there's no natural lodes. They're all ones that are cut by human beings.
Right.
But I'd have to look on Wikipedia to check that. By the time we get this posted, I'll know, but one way or another, there will probably be a couple hundred comments explaining it for sure.
All right, let's get going.
All right. Through the lock.
The lower lock gates are open, which means the lock is set against us. After studying the instructions very carefully, Michael presses the button to close the lower gates. Once they're closed, we move to the upper gate, which is a guillotine, and we raise it slightly to start filling the lock. Michael gets in a few George tickles while we wait for the water, and then he goes to get the boat while I raise the gate the rest of the way. Just below the lock, a huge Dutch barge is winding, so we wait for them to complete their turn before we open the paddles and send a lot of water their way. It's quite an impressive turn. They had just inches to spare at each end. Ready? So that took a lot longer than expected. The water just flows at the speed it flows, so you kind of just have to wait. We forgot to mention this morning that we're actually meeting or stopping off just above the next lock to meet a couple of people that follow us on Instagram. They saw that we were in the area and they wanted us to stop by and say hello, so we're going to do that next. At Horningsea, Michael slows the boat down to pass this fairly long line of visitor moorings. It's trying its hardest to rain at the moment. We've caught up with another narrowboat, and after we follow them for a while, they signal for us to come past, as their tick over is a lot slower than our tick over. The boat that made the turn below the lock has moored up at the Bridge Hotel. I wonder if they've come for a pub lunch. So Michael was going to pick me up at those moorings, but because he'd just overtaken that boat that he'd been following for ages on tick over, he's asked me to walk the rest of the way, which is fine. I like walking, but I'm not really wearing the right shoes for the overgrown footpath that's coming up. So should be interesting, and I hope the slugs have left the field. It's not been wet, so it shouldn't be so bad as it was before. So this is where the walk starts to get a little bit interesting. It's not too bad. Come on. Nearly there now. The pathway's opened up, so it's actually quite pleasant. And we're back alongside the River Cam. By the time George and I arrive, Michael is pretty much moored up, so we all head off to see our new friends on their new boat. After a lovely couple of hours and a cup of tea, Michael heads back to the boat and I walk ahead the short distance to Bottisham Lock. There's some boats out from the sailing club today, but when they see Michael wants to move off, they all kindly stay behind the boat. We're now back on the part of the River Cam which is managed by the EA, and from here it's about 3.5 miles to the junction with Reach Lode. Just above the junction are some EA visitor moorings. So the junction with the Lode is just ahead, and we spotted this, I think it's a narrowboat, just coming along. So Michael's dropped the speed on the engine and we're going to hand back and let them come out, see which way they turn, and then we can make the turn at the junction. We can see them, they can see us. Once we've made the turn, it's just a few hundred metres to the lock. And because that boat's just come down, the lock is open and ready for us. So that was good, the gate was open for us and we came in. It says the locks reset after 15 minutes, so you don't want to be going through when that happens. Just lowered the gate. There's also this bridge over the lock, so I'm just hoping when the water comes up, it doesn't come up so far that the boat hits that bridge. I mean, I'm sure it won't, but it's a worry. Problem with these buttons, I mean they're great, better than a windlass, but you have to hold your finger on them for a long time. And the bridge was fine. It's a really tiny raise from the river onto the Lode, so there's loads and loads of room. We paused just above the lock very briefly to use the bins. So we're just moored up, and this is the Wicken Lode, which we will be going down. Look how narrow it is. Also, big black rain cloud. So I've got to help Michael moor up before we get rained on.
Just heard thunder, and this bringeth with it some rain, which is about to arrive. Recording.
That's recording.
That's recording.
So we've just moored up.
Just above Wicken Lode junction over here on the visitor moorings at Upwhere. Beautiful spot, like absolutely beautiful. The water is crystal clear. There are so many fish, and there are birds and thunder and rain.
We were debating whether to go to the end of the Lode, and Michael said that he had a bit of a headache, so we'd stopped. But also, I'm glad we stopped because
we've got
rain.
some thunder and some rain, and just over that way you
Oh,
can
it's
see
a
there's like a
storm
full-on squall over that way. Over this way we've got sun, over that way we've got squall, and there's about 15 seconds left on this video. So thank you very much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, subscribe to Minimalist Maximum Velocity if you want our time-lapse videos in which you watch us get drenched much quicker, and click that bell if you want to get notifications.